Hello and welcome back to Piano Practice Partner. I hope you're doing very well and thank you for joining me for another video lesson. If you're new to the channel, we're learning piano side by side, step by step. I'm getting lessons in real life and then passing back what I'm learning to the internet and hoping that you, most likely also a beginner, is getting something useful out of this. So we're not going to leave each other behind. If I learn it, you learn it, etc., etc. If I become a pro pianist by proxy, you're going to be on that stage with me. So that's where we're at, that's who we are. Over the last few lessons, we've been taking a deep dive into scales, as this is kind of the building blocks of this entire thing, right? If we know the scales, we can then build chords from that. If we can build chords, we can then make songs, and we can then solo, and do all this lovely, beautiful, crazy stuff. We've been doing lots of song learning and lots of cool things. We've been learning lots of 2-5-1s, which are very exciting. So it's a refresher of those, because it's been a while. We've been learning some of these things, and some inversions as well to make them a bit easier to play. So there's been lots that we've done here, but they all stem from knowing a bit about the theory of what we're doing, right? Rather than just playing by blind repetition or blind rote. It really benefits us to understand what's going on. Now, not to trash an entire instrument in one fell swoop, but watch me try. The scales are what they are. In and of themselves, they are not that exciting. However, it's what we can do with them later down the line that is the important thing, right? We need to understand and be able to play them in their most basic form so that we can then leverage them to our advantage later. So there's a lot of front loading going on, but that's going to really, really benefit us later down the line. So it's worth sticking with. So let's just refresh the scales we've learnt so far. We have learnt the C major scale. This is the very first one we've learnt. Because there are no sharps or flats here. All white notes up and down the scale. From there we learn this F major scale. So our first black note here. And in our last lesson together we clarified whether or not we'd refer to this as a sharp or a flat. In our initial learning together we called this a sharp note. We said F, G, A sharp, C, D, E, F. But we've since learned, even though that's the correct scale, it's slightly confusing to label it A sharp because we're already playing an A. We're sharing the same letter value, just putting a sharp on top. So if we're playing this A, we would no longer refer to this as A sharp, but a B flat. So this is the B, so if we look down from the B, it becomes a B flat. So we'd play exactly the same. We'd just refer to it and think of it as F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. So that was really important to know and understand. And moving forward, when we learn some more scales, if there are shared letters, we default to the natural note, so the white note being the one that holds the letter value in its pure form, and then we'd look to flatten the other note. Hopefully that makes sense. From there, we then learnt this G major scale. And in all the related practice along sessions, we spent time drilling the right hand on its own, drilling the left hand on its own, and then spending some time drilling both hands together so we can play them up and down the scale simultaneously. Okay, so far we've done no sharps and flats, and we've done one sharp or flat. What happens when we look at two sharps or flats? We're going to be looking at the D major scale. Now, for those of you who have been with the channel for a while, we have figured out a way in which we can tell any major scale from understanding the sequence. So we could play it by ear, we could look it up, or we could think of this. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So all this means is to find any major scale from our starting note, we would play this sequence. We would find the whole note, the whole note, the half note, the whole note, the whole note, the whole note, and the half note. So I'll explain what a whole note is and a half note is by using this C as our starting point. So a half note, let's start with a half note. The half note is immediately next door to the note you're on. So from C, it would be up to this note here, which we'll now refer to as D flat. Seems as we refer to this as C, D flat. That's a half note, so they're immediately next door. Now a whole note would be from this C to this D. Because we can see, if I press down on both of them, they are divided by a note. There's a note between them. So half note, whole note. And it's really important to remember that when we get to E to F, this isn't a whole note because there's nothing between them. So this is a half note or a half step. Same with going from B to C, half step. So that's how we figure out a whole note and a half note. Now let's take this idea of whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half by starting on our D and figuring out the D major scale. So from D, our next whole note is E. Next whole note would be not here because this is a half note, so we'd have to jump over. That's our whole note. And then a half note, so we'd go one step up, half. Now another whole, another whole, another whole, and it wouldn't be here, would it? Because there's nothing dividing them, so we have to jump up here. And now a half note, back to the D. So there we go. Just by knowing the starting note and then thinking of this, we've just figured out the D major scale, and you can do that for any major scale. Pick any note on the keyboard, apply this, and you'll find the major scale. Great, so let's go back over that. I'll play them and say the notes at the same time, so we are all on the same page. So it's D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. And I'm going to write those down so we're all tippity-toppity on the same page. So there we go. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Now, a few moments ago, I mentioned when we would use a sharp and when we'd use a flat. The reason we're not using any flat notes here is because if we look to the F sharp and the C sharp, there's no F and there's no C within the scale. So they're not clashing with any other shared letter values. So they're free to be the sharpened versions of themselves. So now with that on the screen, I'll play it one more time and say it out loud just so we can follow along. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. And going back down, D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, and D. Now let's look at how we arrange our fingers. If you've watched all the other lessons on the scales, hopefully this will be fairly easy because it follows a similar suit. Remember, we're labeling from left to right. So the thumb is 1, index 2, 3, 4, and 5. So with our right hand going up the scale, we'd play it like this. 1, 2, 3, thumb pivots under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do that one more time, starting with the thumb. 1, 2, 3, thumb goes underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And coming down, it's just the reverse of that. So we go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Middle finger crosses over. 3, 2, 1. I'll do that one more time. Starting on the pinky. 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Middle finger crosses over. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. So going up and down now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Amazing. So there's the right hand up and down on the D major scale. What about the left? So the left hand is pretty much the inverse of the right hand. So we're going to label it from left to right again. So the pinky is now 1, the ring finger 2, middle 3, index 4, thumb 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So going up the scale with the left hand on the D major scale, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Middle finger crosses over. 3, 4, 5. I'll do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Middle finger crosses over. 3, 4, 5. And coming back down, we're just reversing that. So it goes 5, 4, 3, thumb crosses underneath, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now I'll go up and down with the left hand and shout out which fingers I'm using when. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we have it. Left hand up and down the D major scale, sorted. Fantastic. So what about both hands together? Well, as we've learnt with our other scales, they're going to be slightly staggered out of sync. So let's take it nice and slow and just see when the right hand shifts, when the left hand shifts, and see if we can smooth out that transition point. Starting with your pinky on the D and your thumb on the D. Stop it in the comments. I can already see you. So already the right hand wants to shift underneath. The thumb goes underneath while the left hand carries on. So let's just go up to there. Right hand goes underneath and left hand carries on up to the thumb. So this is really easy. This is a nice way of sort of breaking it down. With your left hand, you're just going up all the fingers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whilst your right hand, you can concentrate on going 1, 2, 3, shift 1. Okay, you know you've got some breathing room here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the left, and your right hand gets to switch over here, which is really handy. And now you can switch over with the left to go 3, 4, 5. And then the right hand has the benefit of just carrying on up the fingers. Once I discovered this, scales became a lot easier because it stopped me thinking about the individual, okay, this finger, now this finger, now this finger, now this finger. And really all you're doing is running up all the fingers in one hand and then switching over and doing a few more, right? And then in the other hand, it's just the opposite of that. So with the right hand here, we're just going up a few fingers and then we're just running up the entire hand. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to do it one more time really slowly, clunkily explain as I'm doing it, but together. Right hand crosses underneath, left hand carries on. Now the left hand crosses over whilst your right hand carries on. I hope that makes sense. I hope you all saw that. Let's do that one more time. We'll go real slow. Right hand thumb crosses under. And then left hand, middle finger crosses over. One more time. Right hand thumb crosses under. Left hand, middle finger crosses over. There we go. Beautiful. Now let's look at it coming down. Now it's the left hand that moves first, so thumb crosses underneath, right hand carries on. Now the right hand moves, the middle finger crosses over. So again, it's just the inverse of what we've just done. So let's do that again, starting from the D up here. So left hand thumb crosses underneath, right hand finger crosses over. One more time. Left hand, right hand. So going up, the right hand has to shift first, and going down, the left hand has to shift first. That kind of makes sense. The right's leading the way, so it has to move first. And on the way down, the left hand's leading the way, so it has to move first. There we go, the D major scale up and down with both hands in the bag, sorted. We're getting ever closer to becoming piano pros. So that's it for today's lesson. There's going to be next week a practice along session where I'll set this trusty timer here that we know and love by now. I'll mute myself and then you can practice along without me distracting you, but it's a nice way of having some accountability and some companionship whilst we're drilling this. So we'll drill it with the right hand, we'll drill it with the left, we'll drill it with both hands. So this was our first scale with not one, but two sharps, two moments where we stepped away from our comfort zone of the white notes. Really well done, because that can feel like quite a big thing shifting up and down. But the more we do this, the more comfortable and normal that will feel. And we're just going to go from strength to strength. So thank you so much for joining me. Please let me know your wins of the week by dropping a comment down below. Let me know where you're learning from, anything you'd like to learn in the future. It's been really fun getting to learn this instrument with you. So thank you for your time, your patience, and your commitment in learning this instrument. And I'll see you next week for another lesson on Piano Practice Partner.